launching a new portal site, specifically our strategy for getting our first 300 customers. If you could confidently know how to get your first 300 customers, would it be more likely that you'd start a domain-based business? I hope so. For us, the confidence it gives us is everything. Our customers are members, and our sites deliver value each and every month, and in turn, our customers pay a monthly or annual recurring subscription to us. That means 300 customers for us is 300 ongoing customers. This is the strategy that gives us the confidence to do all that we do. So much so that we actually count our chickens before they hatch. We often calculate how much we'll pay to buy a domain name based on this strategy that I'm sharing today. For example, we bought bartenders.com for $50,000. This is how we set that max price. Today, I'll show you how we calculated $50,000 as our max for that domain name. So speaking of chickens, we hear these questions often. How do you launch a site with no current members or content? Without that social proof that you get when you first start a site. So it is the chicken and the egg paradox of a new site, which this strategy plays a major part in solving. I know there will be lots of great content worth watching all the way to the end. Plus, I'll be bringing you this week's domain to profit opportunities that are only available this week at domain auctions across the web. Now hit subscribe if you like business ideas and opportunities, and like this video if you're awesome and like this content. Then let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and if you're watching on replay, comment Team Replay in the comments. Let the opportunities begin.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Washin. Get started right now.
Alrighty, well, we are live and we have a pretty big day planned. Actually, just an exceptionally awesome day planned, because today I get to answer those questions, those paradoxes that surround the idea of launching a new domain-based business and actually getting customers. So as well as, of course, we're going to do some 3-minute business plans, which that is going to be the first thing I do before I even dive into the local content and how to, get these great, the first 300 customers. I have lots of different notes and things going on today. So I usually fly by the seat of my pants, but in order to make sure I bring you the content that you're here for today, I'm trying to stay a little more organized, which I could blow up in my face. We'll find out. So what I want to do first, though, is launch into a 3-minute business plan. Let me set this up first. So if you've never watched from domain to profit, we do what is called a 3-minute business plan, which is this here. You'll find here up on the screen. Okay, there we go. You can download the 3-minute business plan, which you can follow along. It just takes us from a domain name that is available this week. This week, people let their domain names expire. They come up for auction. We pick out the ones that we believe present to you the best opportunity to start a business, and then we don't just leave you there. We don't just leave you with this domain name that could do something for you. We talk specifically about the business that could possibly be on that site and walk all the way through potentially getting that first customer. So every episode has an opportunity that could literally change your life. So we want to start off with our first 3-minute business plan. Most of our 3-minute business plans are going to be on the back side of the content, the major piece of this, but I want to kind of set this up and make sure that we always get our first 3-minute business plan is going to be this one here, pulling up on your screen, cupcakedelivery.com. Cupcakedelivery.com. It's going to be up on GoDaddy in a week. It's going to end. And it looks like $12 was what it was at the time that we set this up. So So we're going to look at the 3-minute business plan for Cupcake Delivery, and I am going to start the timer. So Cupcake Delivery, when I saw this domain name, I thought it was a fun opportunity to get into food delivery. Who doesn't love cupcakes? I know my daughter does. She's a huge fan of cupcakes or anything that has, especially green icing that she can get smeared all over her face, which stains. And anyhow, it's usually a pretty big disaster. Cupcake Delivery, our market is, of course, going to be those who are looking to have cupcakes for different events, or those who sell cupcakes. Of course, at least I say, of course, I like to monetize from the business. I don't often monetize from the consumer, which would be a B2C business. I like to go B2B. And the reason for that is just experience tells me consumers are just a little difficult to deal with. I'm a very logical person, so I like to deal with the little more logical side of businesses. So we are looking to monetize through those who sell cupcakes and can deliver them. The market is going to be those who buy the cupcakes, but we're going to monetize too. Hopefully that makes sense. And of course, let me know in the comments, and I can always try to answer questions if I'm missing something, because, this is an awkward Cincinnati guy. Say things weird sometimes. The problem is, you have a birthday party, you have 1,000 different details that you have to take care of planning. The last thing you want to do is have to deal with ordering the cake or running off to Kroger or Meijer at the last minute to go pick up the cake that you ordered. And instead, you have Cupcake Delivery, and you want to have your cupcakes delivered. Seems like a reasonable problem. One less detail to worry about. And solution is cupcakedelivery.com, where you can find local bakeries that make cupcakes that can deliver them directly to your event in whatever quantities you want, customizations. Think of the FTD of cupcakes. Cupcake Delivery, Cupcake TD. Maybe not. Okay, 50 seconds left here. And so our problem is people that want cupcakes delivered. They want the cupcakes, don't want to be bothered, which realistically in this day and age, who wants to be bothered with actually going out to a store or bakery? Solution is Cupcake Delivery finds people companies in your area that deliver cupcakes, support those local bakeries, and unique selling proposition, as always, based on that domain name, which is Cupcake Delivery. When you need cupcakes delivered, where are you going to go? Cupcakedelivery.com, where we help you find local bakeries near you. The authoritative domain, when you call them Cupcake Delivery Services or bakeries, you'd be like, hey, we're with Cupcake Delivery. They're instantly going to know what you're about. You're going to have authority, expertise tied up in that domain name. And awareness, oh my goodness, it just so happens that we can talk a little more in depth about awareness than usual. We can, in fact, spend some time talking about how we can find the first 300 bakeries to join cupcakedelivery.com. So a little bonus material here. If you are considering this domain name or any domain name that's going to be based on finding a local business, this is how we run towing.com. This is how we've launched bartenders.com. Helicopterrides.com is a little different, but photobooths.com, djs.com, bartenders.com. All of these are going to be based on this local model, finding local businesses. So that's kind of an important piece of this. And how do you find the first 300? Well, I want to walk you through a logical progression, share some stories with you of how we've come across this and how it can really, well, let me just ask. I think it's safe to say that 300 customers for your new website would be a pretty big deal. As I mentioned before, 300 customers for our business is actually 300 subscriptions, 300 people that actually pay us a monthly subscription to be a part of our websites. So a customer is a really big deal for us because we want them on, we want to keep them, provide value for the long term. So in the case of Cupcake Delivery, or when we're looking for these local businesses, we want to make sure that we can provide that. Anyhow, so 300 customers, it's a big deal, safe to say. So I'm just looking over my notes. I want to make sure that I don't forget something. Well, let me tell you this. I bought my first domain name back in 1998, and I had this great idea. The domain name, drum roll, was Valley by Web. Valley by Web. And the idea was I was going to bring news and information from the area I live in, Mill Creek Valley. It's this area north of Cincinnati made up of a bunch of villages and little towns. And I was going to bring kind of the news and the little things that everybody shares through the web out to them, Valley by Web. Very logical domain name. Well, the way it was going to be monetized was going to be through business advertisements. So all the way back then, I was already looking to businesses to be my consumer and the actual visitors to be just those who consume the information and content on that website. So it started kind of early, I guess you could say. Well, I built out this business, built out the website, and this was 99, so, 98, 99. So we used to do things based on books, like some of the books that I have behind me. There really wasn't the websites and the resources to learn how to code, build websites like there are now. And painstakingly learned how to put this website together and launched Valley by Web. And I was exhausted. I'd spent all this time to plan out this business and to build this business, to think through all the details. And, you're exhausted, but now you have this website, and now you just need the money to roll in, bring in the money. Well, launched a website, started visiting businesses, and was met with no after no after no. So chances are you've possibly dealt with this as well. Maybe you've taken a chance on building out a website and turning it into a business to only launch it and to find out that just nothing ever happened. And never, I think in the case of Valley by Web, I think it made like $12 or something. It was a complete failure. I thought it was going to be a big deal, as we all do. Sure, the domain that you first decided to build out into a business, you thought it would be a great. Like in some cases, I was on Valley by Web. Heaven forbid you have an amazing domain name. You do all the work to build it out. Then the question comes down to how are you going to get those customers? Well, that was the start of the failure and learning process that has brought me to where I am now, which is we have this strategy that we can apply over and over again. And now, here from Domain to Profit, I'm sharing it with you. So when you launch a new website, so I actually created a little bit of a presentation. Hopefully this all loads pretty well and stuff for you here. So when you're creating this new website, the problem is you're a brand new website. How do you even find these customers? Who are your customers? You have this idea, like for me, it's the businesses, but that doesn't answer anything. The more specific you can get on who the market is, who your consumer is, the more precise you can see who they are, the better off you're going to be. You'll hear that in nearly every business marketing book. Someday we'll talk about avatars or this idea of actually having a person that represents who you're trying to communicate to. Not today, though. But let's start by getting a little more precise than businesses. Okay, businesses is a broad term. So we have this new site, but a new site needs early adopters. So an early adopter is going to be the person that takes a chance on you. You probably know this. Maybe you are an early adopter, maybe not. I consider myself a very early adopter. I try new things if it brings me closer to getting what I want out of life, whether it's business or it just depends. I can be an early adopter. So an early adopter is the kind of person that takes a chance on a new product, even if it's not proven, even if it's not documented. They kind of can see the vision that somebody's putting out into the world and take a chance on it. So what you'll see here is, so there's a book called Crossing the Chasm, Crossing the Chasm. And it's this idea that you have kind of these really early adopters, but eventually a lot of people try to get to the majority, the big money that's on the other side of that, where everybody's using your product and service. And I'm going to tell you that that's not your market. Your market, when you are launching a site, like I said, we need an avatar that lets us get more and more focused, laser focused on who it is that we're trying to target as our first customers. Our market are going to be early adopters. It only makes sense, right? Your business is brand new. It's a very early website. So according to the Crossing the Chasm book, they estimate that about 15% of people are these early innovators and early adopters on businesses. And my experience is it's actually less than that. My experience is that it's closer to 8%. 8% of the businesses that are out there are potential early adopters for a new site. So that would be the equivalent of, I have here a deck of cards. 8% is about the equivalent as if you were to shuffle up a deck of cards and randomly draw a card and it be an ace. Of course, you're only going to be right 8% of the time. And so basically, you're going to have to make a lot of choices. You're going to have to do a lot of work to narrow it down to find the 8% of those early adopters. So kind of the first piece of this puzzle of getting your first 300 customers is understanding, and feel free to let me know if you disagree with this or whatnot, but realistically, it's my experience with it. But about 8% of people are these customers are who you're looking for. So really what it comes down to is where we're going to find them, right? So hopefully that makes sense. What do you think? 8% card pool? So the nice thing is I have some good news. Competition breeds early adopters. Hopefully you can agree with that. So I have there this picture over here, I guess, of these bikers. And of course, when you see these bikes here, they're completely different from even the competition bikes that people use when I was a kid. They're much lighter. They're always checking new technologies just to save that fraction of a second, to shave every little ounce off of these bikes and things. And what it comes down to is competition is going to create this desire and this openness to try new technologies, to try new websites, to try new things to gain an advantage on the broader competition. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can agree. Like it kind of just makes sense that we're all looking for an advantage. So what I can tell you about those 8% of people, those customers that we're looking to target, is they're going to be highly competitive, and they're going to be looking. So what I want to do is just show you this here, which is, so where's the competition going to be at? So let me see here. So I guess basically we're going to be searching for where those customers are. The first 300 customers, the strategy to find them, and the strategy to target them, I call this the local Legion 300. 8% of the people that are out there are potentially our customers. That means we're going to have to call, out of 100 people, eight of them are going to potentially be open to our opportunity. And then that also means that, but that's just those who are open to our opportunity. Those who are even, we still have to convince them, right? We still have to message it. And we actually even need to find a lot of information as far as, so I just was checking out the chat here real quick. So basically when we're looking for these 300 people, we need to make sure that we are looking for the 8% that matter, but I call them the local Legion. And let me look at the chat real quick. I just kind of want to scroll over that. And I appreciate that, Rick, there. Any of us business guys, we can always use the encouragement. I wake up and live and breathe this stuff. And I'm super excited to be here to present this stuff to you. Like I'm always working on this often. You know, you live your life creating businesses. Audio going in and out. Hopefully I am recording this. I see that there's a little bit of lag in my video. What I will do is, if there's audio, I'm going to have a recording up on the web as well of this talk. So let me see here. So somebody mentioned audio, and I'm just browsing down through the chat here real quick. Because Lee, here you go. Yeah, I have a major lag going on with my computer here. So and that's what I get when I'm opening up Prezi and everything else. Okay, so let me finish here, I guess, the Prezi, and then I'll close that. Maybe that will free up some bandwidth. So yeah, hopefully this takes care of it, Lee, and everybody that's having some tech issues. So maybe I can get rid of this presentation here in a second. So okay, local Legion. So I call them my local Legion 300, mostly because we're looking for 300 people, but then also we need 300 people that can do battle for us. Like just having somebody that hands over a little bit of money is not going to be enough. We actually need to, I'm going to get rid of this presentation. I don't know if that's going to actually improve anything or not, but dagnabbit, I don't want technology to get in the way in me and my fancy messages. Okay. I don't know if that'll do anything or not. So basically what I want to do is we're looking for 300 people, that 8% of the market. Where are we going to find them? Where are we going to find these 8%? A lot of people will just start calling companies, just whatever. They'll buy a list maybe. Maybe you've done this. You've bought a list. You start spamming out a bunch of emails, whatever else. Whatever it is that you started, you can do whatever it is. You just need to make sure that you're looking for that 8%. So what I want to do is I want to share out my screen. Hopefully I'm not going to crash everything. That's the downside of live stuff. And let me get it over here. So let me just kind of show you. We know we need early adopters. We need, the good news is that early adopters look for competition. What creates competition? Competition comes from population. So this is the one of the connectors here. So in the United States, it's going to vary based on country by country. What I did was just do a search of largest cities in the United States, and basically we want to target the cities that are going to bring the most competition. And of course, New York, Los Angeles are the ones with millions and millions of people. But what you'll find when you're actually looking at this list is that this list continues to go on. A lot of people, including me, when we launched towing.com, we wanted to target a lot of New York. Oh my goodness, there's millions of people there. Let's go after the big city. So here's what our local Legion strategy is basically. We look for one company in each of these cities. One company to start with. First, we start with the largest city in the United States. We start calling in on New York, and we're doing cold calls at this point. Like we might, nowadays we get a little fancier and we might do some awareness ads targeting that local area to make them aware of us while we're doing cold calls. And we do other things, but we're just reaching out, and all we're doing is hearing no nonstop. Like we know that we're going to hear out of 100 calls, no 92% of the time, right? Just based on statistics, we're going to hear no 92 times, like guaranteed. The other 8% is what we're really hoping that we can get a yes out of. And out of those, we're hopefully going to get a yes out of, maybe 20% or so. So we look for New York first, Los Angeles, and so on and so forth. And you'll find that in the United States, this is the crazy thing, in the United States, it just so happens, and I know that's probably not visible because it's scrolling so fast, there are 317 cities in the United States, 317 cities that have over 100,000 as their population. So over 100,000 people, competition, right? Does it make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. It's really that simple. One of the key pieces of this, though, is instead of targeting New York and just beating up on one city, if you just start to go down, it's maybe you're familiar with Dave Ramsey, and he does something called a debt snowball. It's this idea that you pay off the balance with the lowest amount, and you pay that off, and then you pay on. You just only pay primarily on one piece of your debt, and then it snowballs, and you gain momentum. What we're looking for is momentum. You've built your website, just like I built Valley by Web. You're exhausted, and now you have to go try to get customers. And you're excited, but then you're going to hear no 92 times before you ever have a chance at a yes. Who has that kind of energy? It's exhausting. This strategy is what's going to allow you to snowball into success, because New York's going to be your easiest one. There's millions of companies. There's lots of competition. You just need to find the one company that's scrappy enough to go ahead and try your new CupcakeDelivery.com. Find that one bakery that says, you know what? We do want more business. We do want an advantage. And CupcakeDelivery.com sounds like something that we would be interested in. I like where you guys are going with this. And that's the key, because you're not there yet. Your company's not there yet. You're going there. They want to join you. They're going to fight for you. They're going to be involved in your site from the get-go. That's your customer. That's who you're looking for. You're looking for that legion, not just some local customer. You're looking for the one person that buys into the vision you're casting, what it is that you're doing with this premium domain name, and that they're going to join and fight with you. So, and then instead of just concentrating on New York, you get your first customer and you move on to the next city, and then the next city. And what's going to happen is you're not going to just find 300 companies by calling down the list. You'll find that as you call and you move down 8 cities, 10 cities, 12 cities, and you've called hundreds and hundreds of people, contacted hundreds of companies, what you're going to find is that old leads will start to contact you. You'll find that competitors of those who have already signed up will start to contact you, because competition keeps track of what their competition's doing. So you start to develop this momentum of these leads. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully the audio is not in the way of you hearing that momentum that you're able to gain. So let me see here. I'm just going to put you up here, Rick. I believe you are actually on target. Those that aren't relevant to your end user target market with your unique selling proposition domain, they won't seek too many cold calls. You won't need to seek too many cold calls. Yeah, and cold calls are scary. I absolutely hate them. One of the first hires that I made as a company was is to get somebody else on the phone, because here it is. I'm making all these calls. I went from Valley by Web. I was going door to door. I was going to local business with a piece of paper, my little flyer. I was a 19-year-old kid doing this, and I'd bring them this flyer, and I'd be like, "Hey, here's what I think I can do for your company, and here's what we're trying to do." And of course, when you're dealing, with local businesses, it chances of me finding one of those 8% in that model just wasn't going to work out. But Cupcake Delivery, towing.com, bartenders.com, completely different story. So let me see here. Jameson asks, do you offer lifetime discounts or some such for the first few? So that is the key piece here, Jameson, that hits on something that we will spend a lot of time over the weeks talking about. Getting momentum. Once you have momentum, you can do whatever the heck you want. What we're out to do is create this website that I like to say, I want to create 10 times the value. CupcakeDelivery.com, I want to be able to offer my customers $100 worth of value, ideally from that domain name alone. That's why I like really great domains, is the domain name creates value for my customers right off the bat. So say I can provide $100 worth of value to my customers. That's what I like to base it on. I'm asking them for $10 a month. So I want to ask as low as possible. You want to start your pricing as low as you possibly can. Make it hurt, because here's what can happen. You can increase your prices for future customers. Because yes, as Jameson mentions here, do we offer a lifetime discount? We say that we guarantee the price for at least 2 years. So we don't currently offer a lifetime discount. We say it's 2 years, but we've actually never raised rates on our early joining customers. It's kind of our reward to them. It's the reverse of a phone company is what we call it. It's reverse of the cable company. We don't offer discounts to the new people. We offer discounts to those who are with us, our legion, our people who are fighting with us early. That's who gets our lowest price guaranteed. And we don't want to raise the price on them. But a lot of times we say that we guarantee it for like 2 years, mainly just in case we sell off a site. We want to make sure that the new owner would have flexibility on that. But we've never raised them. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm owning stuff, I don't plan on raising rates on my legion, on my teammates. So, because they are ultimately your teammates. They're buying in early. So when it comes down to, we want to offer as much value as we can for being a new website. It's going to be based on your domain name. That's why you have to have an authoritative, great domain name, in my opinion. You can maybe do it with a not so good domain. It's not the model that I recommend. So anyhow, so then we offer and we ask for like $10, but there's nothing that says, and here's what I would do. Your first 100 customers, you offer them $10 a month. If that's the price that you settle on. That's, of course, just a tossed out price. But let's say you're charging $10 a month, that's only available to your first 100 customers. It's not available to, maybe it's your first 100 customers and the first company in a city or in a certain mile range. That's the kind of thing we do. I'll talk a lot about pricing strategies. We spend a lot of time on this idea of getting and keeping our early customers. On towing.com, we've been around for, we started that in 2007. So 13 years now. We have 27 of our first 100 customers still with us. Like so towing.com pays monthly subscriptions, month to month, no contract. Every company has a monthly subscription or an annual one, but all the early ones are monthly. I think it's 23 companies, 27, 20, I'd have to look it up, but a pretty good percentage for 13 years later. I'm pretty happy with that number. And we have so many companies that have been with us for so many years, and it's because we don't raise rates. All we do is add more and more value to them. Why would they ever want to cancel? A lot of times, number one reason for cancellation, especially those new companies, are they retire or go out of business. So, especially nowadays with COVID stuff, which really hurt the towing industry. Okay, so let me see here. So we're bringing value. Our Legion 300, those are our customers that are going to battle for us. In our model, we ask our customers to provide content. I will talk about user-generated content at some point in the future. It's a really important part of our stuff. We don't create content. We ask our customers, the experts in that industry, to provide content, whether it's customizing their profile or answering users' questions. They provide that content. So we need engaged users. Hey, we're going to give you a super cheap discount. It's only going to be $10 a month. Everybody else is going to be paying like $20, $30, $40, $50 a month. You're going to get this great discount. And the reason is we really want you to be involved in helping us build this site that's going to help your company. Hopefully kind of see that argument as it goes. So let me see. Rick asks, do we target 300 as a rule? Not necessarily. 300 is a great number. I like numbers that break down into hundreds. We tend to group our pricing strategies in groups of 100. So really 300, we will be increasing the price over the course of that 300. 300 just so happens it's the list. When you're exhausted and you're sitting down after just creating your website, or spend all this money and you have to go through the labor of finding customers. Like, it's just kind of nice to have a list, and using the most popular or populated cities of the United States as that starting point list. That's why we say 300, is it gives you the list. New York, Los Angeles, what is it, Chicago, or the major cities. You're just going down that list. So now, in your exhaustion, you have a to-do list. Find somebody in New York. You can literally go out to Google or the Yellow Pages or whatever is out there nowadays for just random lists of companies, and just start calling them. And here's a little extra advice, and part of why a lot of times when we start a new website, a lot of times I will make a lot of those early calls. We want to hear what it is that they're looking for. I want to hear the problems that they're bringing to me. So let me go over here to the SkyCam here. So what we're looking for, we have our audience, which is what this is here. I just realized I got this desk really low today. Okay, so we have this audience here. We're looking for what problems they have, right? We want to know their problems so that way we can present our site as a solution, or we can create a solution for them using our site. So hopefully that makes sense. So that's the Local Legion 300. And I'm just looking over my notes real quick. I have some more stuff on that, including I'm going to show you how we use the Local Legion 300 to actually come up with the prices that we're willing to pay for domain names. So I'm going to let you in on some inside information on how we, like for example, bartenders.com. How do we come up with 50K? What were the other numbers? What were our goal target prices? I'll share that with you. But first, we've talked about Cupcake Delivery. I want to now look at the next domain name, which, as you can see underneath Cupcake Delivery, if you've had your fill of cupcakes, then maybe it's time for a little sugar detox. So we're going to do a 3-minute business plan for sugardetox.com. I love it. That just worked out like that. Cupcakes right into Sugar Detox. And I will, of course, continue to field questions on the Local Legion 300. Feel free to ask them, and I'll try to address them the best I can, because I want you to get this, because I know how exciting it can be to just this idea of getting your first 300, like having a plan for that. I wish somebody had kind of set me down, and I wish I had somebody that messaged me the other day. Actually, it was my programmer, Chaz. He said, I wish I knew back in the day all the ways to do code like I do now, all the things I did. And don't we all wish that, right? We wish we had our current day experience back in the day. So, okay, 20-year-old or a 19-year-old Drew, don't you wish you kind of had this idea of this Local Legion 300? So sugardetox.com is an auction that's going to be on GoDaddy. It was at $375, and it ends tomorrow, I believe. And so let's go ahead and start the timer on this. So, and I think I added music. There might be music underneath now. I don't know. We'll see. I want this stuff to be fun, so I'm not writing on this page. Okay. So our domain name is sugardetox.com. The audience, Sugar Detox. A book that I read, or actually I listened to. It's a really great book to listen to. I love the guy that reads it. I can't remember his name, but it's a book named Relentless. And I strike out on names. I suck at names. But the guy who wrote the book is the guy that trained Jordan and I believe Kobe. But he's the trainer to the best basketball players out there. And basically, one of the first things he does whenever he takes on a new training client is to put them through a sugar detox. So all of us could use a few less cupcakes and a lot less sugar. I try to do as little sugar as possible. Black coffee in the cup. So the problem that we're looking for is detoxing off sugar is tough. And ultimately, there's lots of things that have sugar that you maybe don't even know have sugar in it. So the audience is going to be people that, whether they're required to or just want to, they're going through a sugar detox. The monetization will likely be through those who sell products, whether it's trainings, whether it's personal trainers, dietitians, personal chefs, those who would make money off of somebody who is going through a sugar detox. And let me see. So the problem is people need to get off sugar. The solution is sugar detox brings together resources, trainings to help you to go through sugar detox. And then a solution, of course, is our website and the product services that you'll find on the site. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a very authoritative domain name. The unique selling proposition is going to be very much when you have to go through the difficult task of sugar detox and you want to change your life for the better, get rid of the sugar that's holding you down, that's increasing your likelihood of diabetes and all the different things that go with it. Well, sugardetox.com is there for you. No artificial sweeteners. Anyhow, no artificial sweeteners. Sugar Detox has your back to help you go through sugar detox. Authoritative domain name, it's literally telling you exactly the product services you're going to expect to find on it. Awareness will be through targeted ads to reach the public, as well as you would probably do a lot of cold calls, cold ads to reach the products, trainings, dietitians, find those, or you just do a commission-based program to sell somebody else's product, which actually I'll have to show you. I think it's clickbank.com is a good resource. I used to do affiliate marketing a lot. Find somebody that has a program for it, buy this domain, put it up on it, promote it with some ads, make less or pay less to acquire a new customer than what it cost. Your premium domain name is going to help you do that. So pretty unique opportunity there. Sugardetox.com, $375 currently over on GoDaddy. I, of course, do expect that domain to go higher. And let me see here. Rick says that big business, I've only heard of last week, the secret IM group, peddling PLRs. I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to there, Rick. Peddling PLR. You're over my head on some of that stuff. Okay, so there we go, sugardetox.com. And as promised, I want to get back to and share with you how it is that we price our domain name. So here's the one thing I ask. I'm going to share with you this pricing secret. And I thought about not sharing this because, of course, there's risk in telling you this pricing, because I know somebody out there is going to be like, Drew Walsh, I'm going to bid him up. And let me just tell you this. We only use this for domains we absolutely love. Bartenders.com, boom, loved it. We did pay $50K was literally our max bid. $50 more. I mean, it was in, and we weren't even watching the auction as of that point. So one more bid, and somebody else would have had it. Our target amount was actually $36,000. That was what we really wanted to get the domain at. And how do we come up with these numbers? A lot of people, domain investors, they have to look at all kinds of information as far as pay-per-click, traffic numbers, keyword numbers, all kinds of stuff to kind of come up with an estimate of how much a domain name is worth. Here's the beauty of domain development once you get going at it, because I certainly don't recommend that somebody for their first project runs out and grabs a $50,000 domain name. Although one of my first domain names that we went all in on was towing.com, which was, I had to put my house on the line for that one. I know I probably mentioned that every single week, but it's kind of a big deal to me. Anyhow, so how do we come up with these numbers? Here it is. So the domain name, as we've already talked about. So, okay, got to take a deep breath and make sure that I have a focus here so I don't just babble on, because it's more important to get you the content, right? So I'm going to roll over to Skycam, and what I want to do is share with you how we come up with our numbers. Hopefully I get my math right here. So we paid $50K for bartenders.com, and kind of how do we come up with these numbers? So as I mentioned, we want to look at how much value we believe we can bring to somebody with a domain name. Specifically, we want to look at how much value we believe we can bring the first person that is in a city or in an area on that domain name. In the case of, for example, bartenders, I try to use as small amount as possible, because realistically, we don't 100% know who the precise person that's going to turn over a credit card number to become a member is going to be. And if it's going to be actually literally a bartender, we want that number to be as low as possible. So what I tried to do is I tried to base our numbers off of $10. And that is a monthly number. So if we're going to ask people to pay $10 a month, that means that we need to be able to launch a site that's able to provide $100 per month. Luckily, as of this point, I feel pretty confident in the tools and things that we are able to bring to a domain name to be able to pretty easily do that. We probably exceed $100 in value. Plus, when it's a great domain name like bartenders.com with it's going to have an expensive amount of money. So you're going to have to put a lot of money into it. The expensive domain name itself becomes kind of, if you were to divide that expense up over your members, there's value in that in itself. So if you were to say divide, a 50K up over 1,000, you know that immediately, it's what, $50. So each individual person that would be on that, hopefully, practically gets $50 in value just from the domain name itself. If it was 1,000 people on that site, kind of a random thing. We use that in our valuation numbers, but I don't know. We don't. That's not really. Hopefully that makes sense. The value of the domain name matters, but at the same time, you don't want to necessarily go to somebody and be like, "Hey, we're going to pay $50K for this, and that brings $50 to you." Heck, you may want to say that you value the domain name at $100K, because realistically, there's only one of them. It can be as valuable as you perceive it, assuming you have it already. Okay, so we have $10 a month, and what we're looking at here is we know that we have a pathway to getting our first 300. So this is our local Legion 300. This is how, hopefully you can see that. It's pretty small, but hopefully you can see, like, just by knowing that there's a path to 300 companies based on over 300 cities in the United States that have over 100,000 population. There's over 300. So now you can go down those 300 cities looking for one single company in each of those cities. That's all you need, and you'll be able to get to 300. So we are confident enough to know that we can do that. And actually, we know that through our other pricing strategies, we'll be able to increase this price to where it will actually be most likely closer to $20 on average. Okay, long story short, 300. What we're going to do is that's 300. Basically, it's going to make $3K a month. It's really basic math here. It's really nothing special. But okay, so $3K a month, that's $36,000 a year. So when we are doing this, so it's $36,000 a year. You might be going, oh, yeah, but that's like, man, I work at Amazon warehouse or something and make that money. That's not that much money. Well, first of all, you got to remember this is per year. You're going to work hard. I have something that I talk about a lot. I'll talk about it a lot on here. You work hard once. You're developing an asset once, and then you'll be able to lay back. And let me show you kind of how this works. Year one, actually, I usually call it year zero, but okay, so year one, I count on making zero. Whenever we buy a domain name, we never count on making any money that first year. We're literally buying that domain name. We're counting on the entire first year being for development, for marketing, for sales, for figuring stuff out. Year two, we're counting on making this $36K. And then year three, another $36K. And that means that for these first 3 years, we know that we're going to be making, well, we are confident, and this is the key here, we're confident that we can make $72K over the course of 3 years. So when it comes down to a return on investment, for example, when you're buying this domain name and you're trying to figure out how much you can pay for it, if you know that you can build a website, there's going to be costs associated with that. But, I pretty much say ignore that. I know you can't ignore that, but say you're doing all the work yourself. You're putting all this in there. How much can you pay for that domain name? Because the real estate's going to have value regardless, is kind of what I'm going off of. The code that you put on it probably is going to be garbage in 5 years. Realistically, what matters is that real estate. So the $72K here is if we make $72K, which we're confident we can with our 300 companies, making $10 a month, and this might be over an annual basis or whatnot, but $3K a month on average, $36K a year. We're not counting on making that money until year two, and then year three, $72K. This actually works out to being, and this is going to be approximate. Our return on investment on a $50K domain name is going to be approximately 15%. So that's not a great return on investment for putting up $50K, and then of course not including your development costs. But here's what we're looking at here. When we are pricing our domain names, we want to live here. We always, this is what we want to stick here. We want to be able to make our money back at our first year of making revenue. We only go above this amount if it's a domain name we love. And that's the key. I mean, it has to be one we love. I will never do this. It'll probably require a single word keyword. It requires a really precise, expensive, a domain name that a lot of people are going to be after. It would require that for me to go into my third year of revenue. Because, of course, 15% on return on investment, it's not really after I'm sorry, that 15% is per year. So it's 15 year one, year two, year three. It's actually over that course of time, it's like 45, 47% or something like that. You'd have to run the math. The estimates or the numbers are a little rounded, but ultimately what we're looking for is we do not want to spend money if we can't count on that money coming back to us at least 15% return on investment. That's ultimately what I'm trying to tell you. We don't want to spend $1 on a domain name unless we know that it can make a 15% return. So this is our threshold. Usually we're well above that, and that's kind of the key. That's our minimum. So hopefully that makes sense. So the 50K piece of it is based on the in between of the two. 50K is the number that it turns out to being with the return on investment. So hopefully that's not too inside of information as to how we price our domain names. Don't bid me up on auctions unless you really love the domain name yourself, because, hey, you may end up with it's math and business to us when we buy domains. It doesn't need, like, we love certain things. There's emotion that goes into it. But ultimately the math has to add up, and that goes to any domain name that you're looking for. And so here it is. Domain to profit is what we're out to do, and the profit piece requires that you not overpay for your domain names. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. I hope that makes sense. Hope that is helpful. I hope that pathway to getting your first 300 customers is something that is beneficial to you. And let me see here. We have a couple minutes left. So here's what I plan on doing. I'm going to do one more 3-minute business plan. And one of the things that you're going to start seeing on our YouTube feed is throughout the week, we're going to put out 3-minute business plans throughout the week. So we don't want it to just be one long show of 3-minute business plans. We want to break it up to where these can make it out to as many people as possible, especially in cases like Cupcake Delivery. Chances are you know somebody that would love that domain name, and they don't want to listen to a bunch of domain to profit stuff. They might just want to be tagged in that for a business plan. So hopefully that makes sense. And thank you for the love, Rick. I very much appreciate it. And I appreciate all that everybody, thanks for showing up. We do this for you. Let's do this one last 3-minute business plan. And we have a couple good domains that we can do. I'm going to do storybook.com. This is huge. Like, what a great domain name. This domain name's already up over $5,000 on GoDaddy auctions, and it's going to end later this week. So you can imagine over the course of one full week how much a domain name is going to go up in value. This is probably going to be high 5-figure domain name, could potentially even be higher than that. So this might be a great opportunity for somebody that's, well, depends on what business model you apply. Let's start the timer. Let's see what comes out of it. So, okay, 3-minute business plan. The domain name is storybook.com. Such a great domain name. It's both brandable as well as something that could be very much practical. I think we live in the age of self-published books, digital books, and storybooks is certainly a piece of that. I'm sitting here thinking of what kind of market, what specific market that we would want to go towards. I would say storybook.com. I like the idea of going to store, and of course, you can't go wrong with books because, as Amazon proved when they started, it's a high profit industry. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to go with self-published books, immediate downloads with purchase. Basically, let's go with a service to where you can list your books and you handle all the shipping and all that stuff, but you can self-publish and sell your books through storybook.com. So we are going to monetize through authors that want to list their books on our service. So they will pay us some kind of fee, possibly a commission if you want to go that route, depending. I try not to go that route, but I know there's a lot of people out there that love that kind of thing. Basically, they pay you 30% or something for any sales that come through the actual site. You list them, you feature them, you allow them to be displayed on such an authoritative domain name like storybook.com, organize them by genre, locations, any number of different factors to help their audience find them. And the problem is, of course, I always like taking it to the big guys. Amazon, Google, they beat up on all of us small entrepreneurs and steal all of our margins. And storybook.com puts the power back into the individual author. So that's the problem that we're trying to solve. The solution is storybook.com bringing great stories, great authors directly to the public, so you can support your local authors or the authors in the areas that you like. Think kind of a Patreon of stories, maybe. Okay. Unique selling, storybook.com. That's what I love about great domains. They do the unique selling proposition for you. Storybook.com. where you're going to go to find the greatest stories written by independent authors around the globe. Storybook.com. Authoritative domain. So authority, as I've mentioned, is expertise, testimonials, anything that provides authority. The domain name a lot of times does that. Awareness. There's a lot of things. I'd love to get creative on that. The awareness piece. A lot of sharing, different partnerships. But I'll go back to the old basic. Do some targeted ads, find independent authors and things like that, just for the sake of time. That's one of the reasons why 3 minutes might be a little tight, is I can't get too creative on that. So let me see. So thank you so much. Let me see. Jameson, thank you for the support. Bruce, I appreciate it. Dean is asking to re-summarize those numbers and how long do you expect to have your first customer. So let me go back over to Skycam, do this real quick. I'm at my hour, so let me see here. And let me also just show Rick's comment here. Great for Writers offers books and courses on how to write storybooks. Ooh, yes, trainings on how to write. I plan on writing a book probably this winter. My goodness, I'm going to be all over these trainings on how to write a book. So great stuff there. Let me summarize these numbers a little bit. Okay. So when are we going to get that first customer? We're going to get that first customer, one, after a product's already complete. And what we're going to do is we're going to start in the number one city. We're going to be calling our target customer, whoever that's going to be. In our example, it's cupcakedelivery.com. We're going to find local bakeries or local places that either currently deliver cupcakes or ideally currently deliver cupcakes. And we're going to call them and be like, hey, we're cupcakedelivery.com. And as we talked about, we're going to get no's a lot. So when are you going to get that first yes? After you've made a lot of calls. In this case, you're probably looking at 100, 150 calls before you ever get a yes. And the thing is, here's the thing. We know you will get a yes if you can clearly communicate your message with the authority that you currently have through a premium domain name. Your awareness is happening by you contacting them and telling them about you. We know you're going to get a yes because you're targeting, and we know that those early adopters exist. They're out there. There are people out there like me that are rooting for the small guy, that are rooting for these upstarts, that are trying to solve problems. And I'll tell you right now, people are willing to take a chance. You just have to be willing to hear a lot of no's to get there. I'll share sometime what I call our 100 no sheet. All of my salespeople, it's a list of each day of the week. And instead of counting the yeses, we just count no's. And it's just lots of check boxes because we know we just check all those no's. Like, no, I got another no. This person said no. We know that all we're doing is counting down until when we hear that yes, that customer. So when does that come? Who knows? It's going to be hopefully over the first day or two of labor and hard work. And that's the key with all this. If you came here looking for a get rich quick, you'll never find that with me. It is always through labor, as Jim Rohn, a business coach, says. Labor is the only way to create new life. It's the only way to create a new business is labor. Requires a lot of work. So let me see here. Let me see Jameson or Lee here. May I try that strategy in the near future? Will you get a cupcake delivered? Yeah, yes, please. I may give it to my daughter, but I welcome any cupcakes from future Cupcake Delivery. And with that said, as I wrap up, if we help you develop a domain name, whether it's one of the ones we do through a 3-minute business plan or not, if you decide to take that leap and become one of the entrepreneurs, one of my people that take that risk and try to create something that wasn't there before, please let me know. You can go to any of our sites, from Domain to Profit, for example, use the contact us form and be like, hey, Drew, I just bought this domain or whatever else. Especially in these early days of the show, I will respond. I encourage you to take that leap. Of course, do it and choose the right domain name and don't get in over your head as far as price. But my goodness, this journey has been amazing for me, for my family. It's provided so much, and that I'm so encouraged to be here and hopefully share it with you. So thanks for joining me. I'm from Domain to Profit. I will see you next week, and I don't even know the topic yet. So I'm going to look over chat and come up with it. But what I can guarantee is I will bring you opportunities to turn a domain name into a business, and I will do everything in my power through this lens, through the internet, out to you to help you be successful in whatever domain to business opportunity you're looking for. Thanks for joining me.